What do you think about what Quebec's doing?
Oh, well, that was music to my ears. I heard there's a committee that's working with the government. I think that's incredible. When the cell phone ban was introduced in Ontario, it was one of those press conferences, and we hadn't really heard anything about it beforehand. I think we might need to take those types of measures in Ontario as well, because we have the ban, it's as the teacher sees fit, and they're supposed to be off and away depending on the grade level. But what I'm hearing is cell phones are still an issue. They're an issue at break time, they're an issue before and after, but they're also an issue in the classroom, and where you don't have the ability for some sort of accountability or something, some consequence, it's just not happening. And I'm hearing in Ontario schools, cell phones are still a problem.
Right, and then of course it's up to the teacher to sort of enforce it or police it
Yeah.
or monitor it on top of everything else they have to do.
Yeah, the best cases are where in September of this year, a principal held an assembly and really clearly outlined what the consequences were and then followed through. And in those cases, in those schools, I'm hearing there's a lot of success. I'm even hearing in those schools where if students see the principal with their phone out in the hall, they call them out on it. That's working. What's not working is when people are left to their own devices, where there are no consequences. And quite frankly, we're really strapped in Ontario right now for resources and supports. And who's going to follow through on all those consequences? Maybe it does need to be a little bit wider so the students can focus on their learning.
Right, and of course, I mean, the way it is right now can lead to possible confrontations with students, maybe disruptions in the classroom, which is obviously not a great situation. Your take on why this kind of thing, is needed, and in the case of Quebec, it's basically a blanket ban on school grounds.
Oh, well, it's a cultural thing. Have you been to a meeting with adults lately? There's nobody looking at the speaker. There's nobody listening. How can we expect the students and the children to follow through and we're not doing it ourselves? So I think we need to look at it as a culture, as a society. What do we want? Are we going to model that positive behavior? Are we going to really focus on person-to-person interactions, not texting someone? Can we not pick up the phone and call? I think it's way bigger than what the schools are, and we're expecting the students to comply when the rest of us aren't doing it.
All right, thanks very much for this, Karen. We'll see how it plays out. Great to have you part of our coverage today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. Have a great day.
You as well. Karen Littlewood is the president of the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation.